This man seems insane. He told his colleague Rita that he is a god. Even though he experienced hundreds of ways to die, he wakes up every day without a scratch. Rita, of course, doesn't believe him. Phil suddenly grabs a waiter and says, "This is Tracy. She started working here when she was 17. Debbie is planning to get married this afternoon but still needs to think about it. Bill has been working here for 3 years and he is gay. Jesse hates it here. He wants to join the Navy."
Well, who's that?
This is Tom. He worked in the coal mine until they closed it down.
And her?
It's Alice. Came over here from Ireland when she was a baby. She lived in Erie most of her life.
He's right.
But Rita still refuses to believe him. Phil can only tell her that in 5 seconds, a plate will be broken in the restaurant.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
He says Rita likes boats but not the sea. During the summer, they will go on a vacation to the mountains as a family. Rita also enjoys French poetry and is friendly to strangers. When she stands in the snow, she looks like an angel. Rita is stunned. Phil tells her that he wakes up in this town every day and every day is February 2nd. Larry will enter in 5 seconds, telling them to leave, but they can't really leave. As he finishes speaking, Larry walks in. He tells they should leave. Rita decides to test Phil's words, so she accompanies him to his place. Phil feels a bit disappointed because the next day, Rita will forget what happened today. Rita advises Phil to accept it and she decides to wait for the next day with her. As they wait, they both fall asleep. At 6 o'clock the next morning, the alarm clock rings. Phil opens his eyes and finds himself alone in the room again. Phil goes to the street corner and gives some money to an old man. While dining, Phil hears the elegant sound of a piano and decides to learn the piano. However, the piano teacher already had students. Phil pulled out $1,000 and paid for a lesson. The teacher decisively let him in. It takes 10,000 hours to reach the pinnacle of a skill, and time is something Phil has in abundance. Starting from playing Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star, Phil gradually became a master. One evening, Phil encountered the homeless man on the corner of the street who seemed unwell. Phil immediately took the old man to the hospital, but it was too late. The old man passed away due to illness. Phil was deeply saddened. He wanted to try to save the old man's life, but no matter how hard Phil tried, the old man couldn't survive another day. In the past, when Phil reported on Groundhog Day, he was always perfunctory, but on that day, he unexpectedly delivered the most heartfelt blessings to the audience.
When Chekhov saw the long winter, he saw a winter bleak and dark and bereft of hope. Yet we know that winter is just another step in the cycle of life. But standing here among the people of Punxsutawney and basking in the warmth of their hearths and hearts.
Every day, Phil also calculated his time carefully to go and rescue a young boy who fell from a tree, proactively change tires for elderly ladies with flat tires, and rush to the restaurant to save an elderly man who was about to choke. At a ballroom party, Rita saw Phil playing the piano with mesmerizing skill and couldn't help but look at him in awe. Later, while dancing with Rita, each person that Phil had helped, including the elderly ladies with flat tires, the choking elderly man, Debbie who didn't want to get married, and the family of the young boy, found Phil one by one to express their gratitude. Rita suddenly felt that he had become the most popular person in the small town. After the dance, there was a segment to auction off single men. The women in attendance could bid to take the auctioned-off men home. Phil was pushed up onto the stage, and Rita raised her hand, used all the money in her wallet. A total of $339.08 to win Phil in the auction. Phil shows Rita the ice sculpture he made and tells her that he is very familiar with her face. He can even create it with his eyes closed. Rita is deeply moved. Phil says that no matter what happens tomorrow, he is happy now because he loves her. They embrace and kiss, and snowflakes begin to fall from the sky. The next morning at 6 o'clock, the alarm clock goes off on time. Phil opens his eyes and Rita reaches out to turn off the alarm clock. She doesn't want to get out of bed yet. Phil can't believe it and quickly pulls open the curtains. Instead of a clean street, he sees a snowy landscape. This time, they walk out of the door together, looking at the small town that Phil initially hated. He makes a decision.
Let's live here.
This 1993 film has inspired many movies in later years, such as the popular horror film Happy Death Day. Besides its fantastic concept, the film's theme is even more valuable. It successfully melds highly sentimental and deeply cynical moments. Groundhog Day, which traps Phil, is like our repetitive and mundane lives. Especially in the post-pandemic era, time seems to stand still during countless days trapped at home. In the present moment, we may not feel the passage of time, but it still continues to flow. How we spend each ordinary day becomes crucial. Will you choose to muddle through each day or try to enjoy the precious time that we have? There is no substitute for the original movie. A good film is worth watching it yourself. But you don't know where you can watch these movies? Use Superbox. With Superbox, you can access all live TV channels in 4K quality. It also provides access to over 13,000 movies and series, and updates with the newest content very often. The total cost for one of these is 2 months of your cable bill. Then you never have to pay fees or bills ever again. Click the link in my bio and use my code to get it at a better price.